I'm glad that you have this platform because what it shows is like, most people on Instagram that we were talking about, most people on these platforms, they show the finished, polished version of whatever it is that they put down. They don't really
Yeah,
show what it takes to grow and what the conversation and thoughts and the challenges that we have to get through to become the ultimate sort of picture that we want to see for ourselves. That's sort of why my next book is going to focus more on how do we become mentors? How do we sort of look at mentorship in a new iterative way, especially with AI and having some of these different access points. And because we have to get back to sort of learning from a humanistic standpoint. I think education has been exposed after COVID because they realize that a lot of people are talking from books and many people don't want that type of education anymore.
hey Rashawn. So you were saying that's your book?
Yeah, this is my book, Unlocking the Greatness Within 10 Steps for Helping Young People Find Their Personal Greatness.
Wow. When was launched?
So I did this project, I want to say February of 2024.
A
Um,
year, over a year. Nice.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I was working on it prior, but it launched a little over a year ago. Actually, 2 years, excuse me. February 2023, excuse me, not last year, 2 years. And
Nice.
it was exploration into me trying to figure out what I was going to do and how I was going to express some of my story. And it came out in story form. And from there, that's where we started to build the curriculum and how we sought to engage with young people around mentorship.
And again, the title is Unlock what?
Unlocking the greatness within. We all
Wow.
have greatness within us.
A lot to do with mindset, transformation, right? Yeah. That's why when we synced up, no, one of the reasons why we synced up last week, and you also said that you felt that, yeah, we have to talk and discuss a bit. Yeah, that already brings me a lot. It's fun how life brings uh, people with the same vibration, and oh, I'm loving it already. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, how you got that idea? Because right now I'm. This is a journey for me as well, bringing
Hmm.
people here that I can learn and share knowledge. Um, and I'm writing a book on these learnings, and I'll be launching next year. So I'm curious, how was this journey for you? Did you have an idea to write a book
Hmm.
right from the start, or how was this process?
So it was a long process. The thing is, we all have to realize that we all have stories, and we all, from our experiences, we all have something to share. And one thing I realized early on is that my life had so many different phases, from, pursuing professional basketball and playing that at a very high level to then trying to figure out finance, become a stockbroker, to then becoming an educator. And so what I learned very quickly from those experiences is that they were unique and that there was a story behind it. And so when I had the time and clarity to sort of sit down and understand how I would communicate that, that's sort of how the book started to take shape. And what I can say is the exercise was really therapeutic, if you will, because it now you start to look at your own life and your own experiences and lessons that you learned and how they started to shape you. And so that's sort of why I went about writing the book. And I think it's really helpful because now it works towards how I help people find their voice. How do I help them find those connections between either their students or their young people that are real and authentic? And how do we use mentorship in a way to make people grow and become better?
Speechless, man. Yeah, I can relate with so many things. I also think that now it's my time to share and give back. Um, yeah, like I told you last week, I believe I failed to my way, which I consider now success, and I keep evolving. And yeah, we have so many lessons to share. And you said the basketball background. Um, but I understand that's professional, right?
Yes. Well, I finished at the professional level. Yes.
Yeah. Uh, I've been an amateur triathlete for the past 12 years, so
That's amazing.
I understand a bit of the resilience that we have to show up on a daily basis to make that happen.
Absolutely.
And I'm giving a time off now because I'm dedicated to the businesses that I'm building. But I can totally relate when you are continuously every day. I was for 12 years continuously nonstop. Uh, and the things that you learn, and the main thing I come to mind now that I want to ask, what was your relationship in terms of resilience and what that taught you?
Yeah, that's a really good parallel. There's a lot of industries that actually look at athletes because they do have a high level of resiliency and a high level of drive. And I think those are some of the experiences that lent me to becoming, the way and who I am. But also, I start out I'm just a kid from Far Rockaway, Queens. And in many places, like the places that I grew up, you have to practice or have to figure out a level of resiliency or being resilient against challenges. And so that was sort of ingrained for me from early on. And then to your point, combined with the mentorship, the experiences that I got out of sport, I think it built on those traits and it really honed them to become positive traits. And I think that's what a lot of people do have. A lot of times people have positive traits that come from negative experiences, right? And the issue is, how do you translate that into something that works or something that works for you? So I'll take an example. Like for me, taking 1,000 shots a day was something that was regular, right? You break it up into 250, 250, 250, 50, you get to 1,000, right? And so that was a norm, and it builds a level of repetition and resiliency to do that every day. Now, how do I take that same skill and I translate it into my business now? Well, I may have to get in contact with 25 people or 50 people in a day, right? How do I break that down? 10 each day, or excuse me, 50 people in a week. Well, that'd be 10 people each day, right? And each day I get through those 10 contacts. So I think a lot of people have these traits of resiliency, of being transformative. A lot of times they just haven't had the opportunity to ex- extract that from themselves. And that's what I try to do with my consultancy. And as you see with my book.
Yeah, beautiful. But small correction. And I was doing that a little while ago and I corrected. Not just a small kid, an amazing kid. And how do you see yourself now uh, from this transformation? Because we tend to, yeah, I'm just this. No, man. Analyze what you did so far. So, and I had other people here as well. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, uh, uh, a writer, she published a book. It was Mariko. You can check her out. And she was, um, I don't know the word for that, but she was diminishing herself, saying, "Yeah," because I asked her, "Do you consider yourself a writer now? You just published." And I
Right.
said, and she goes, "I guess I am." I said, "No, you
Yeah.
are." So, yeah, not just a kid, man. I bet you faced a lot of challenges, and you said a great thing there that from a bad experience, I think you used another word, but from a bad experience, you transformed that in a great thing. I can relate on that by having been bullied my way through until I got to high school for 8 years. Yeah, it was not pleasant, but I think that allowed me to build resilience. But I want to say that later on in triathlon, I was punishing myself until I understood that, okay, no, I like this, because you go through the training and you want to just beat yourself up.
Right. Right. Right.
Once I understood that, because I didn't took time to work on that trauma. So I want to share this as well. And I don't know if you can relate to that, but yeah, from a bad experience, built me resilience. I used that in triathlon, but then I understood, okay, no, I do enjoy it, but stop beating yourself up.
You point on something that it was something that I had a conversation with just a couple days ago with a group of young people, and it's really about how do we label ourselves, and how do we label ourselves sometimes based on the trauma experiences that we've had. So just going back into what you've expressed, like if you're bullied, that puts you in the labeling of someone that is being bullied, someone that's oppressed, someone that has less power. But as you move through life and you become more mature, you're starting to change that dynamic and that narrative of yourself. Um, but you may not express it. You may not explicitly say, "This is who I am now." Right? So you move through life until you get to a challenge like trying to climb a hill with a bike, right? Because that's what you do in triathletes. Sometimes you carry the stuff with you, right? And you realize I'm not the oppressed one anymore. I'm strong. I have strength. I have agency. And many times people don't have that epiphany, right? That they've changed the label of who they are. And so they no longer have to ascribe to, the behaviors or the ways in which that previous label was. I was involved in a bad relationship that was domestic violence, but I'm not still currently a person that's beat up on. I was a person that maybe bullied other people and treated them wrong, but I am not that person anymore, and my behaviors change alongside of it. So I think you hit on another good thing, another important space that people have to sort of change their identities as they look to change themselves.
Yeah, truly. Um, and not sure. I'm just not sure if I understood. I was the one being bullied.
Oh no, no, I got you. I got you. I'm
Oh,
saying
okay, okay, okay. Yeah,
even
yeah,
in
yeah.
your case, right? You identify as a person being bullied. You can carry that until you're an adult.
Yeah, yeah. But I still remember when I had the opportunity to choose, because I would go to my parents and, well, they did their best, but they didn't know how to react. And every day I would tell them, and they would just tell me, "Yeah, never mind, no mind them." But when I had the opportunity to choose the high school, and I moved, I remember to this day I said, "Okay, now I can be myself," because I wasn't being allowed to express myself. And from that day on, I was able to, okay, now I am who I am, and I can be accepted.
Right. You were given the freedom to explore who you really are because in a previous place you didn't feel that. So now you're
Yeah,
able to relabel yourself. Now you're able to create your own new identity. Maybe you became the athlete while in high school that you weren't in middle school. Maybe
yeah,
you became um, student government or class president when before you wasn't involved because you kept yourself more as a helmet to yourself. So that's exactly what I mean. You went through something, but you were able to change the identity of who you saw yourself as, and thus change the behaviors and the way that you carry yourself.
yeah. And I want to mention something else. 2 years back, when I finally found a therapist that helped me understand that, because I've been through several and no one touched on some points that the last one
Right,
touched. I, to your point, I carried some of those to my adult life, and I found that I was not yet who I am today, because I had created layers as a kind of protection. And once I found that out and I destroyed those layers, I was claiming my power back and be able to do what we are doing now, because before I wouldn't.
right, right.
So exactly what you said. Yes,
You know,
we
it's
can
funny.
carry, and we have to be aware of that and work on those
It's
things.
funny because I was reluctant to work with adults at first because of exactly what you say, the layers, right? Many times because we've gotten to adulthood with a lot of these issues or these traumas that have been undealt with, we create like additional layers to not just protect us, but defend the inner child that we were. So that's why I actually started working with young people first because they haven't shaped that identity yet, right? They're still figuring it out. And when they're in trauma, they can actively express it, right? Because once they build that relationship through mentorship, they can talk about it. With adults, it takes time, right? It takes time because you have to peel off these layers. You have to peel off why somebody's defensive because they've been hurt or let down. And you have to peel off the time that's been remedy behind a person that was not loved as a kid. And so I'm learning that as I work more with adults now, how to sort of systematically help peel off those layers, because there's still the seed of success, even in our adults, right? There's still the opportunity for us to be successful and be great within our own right. I remind people that Colonel Sanders, and I'm sorry if you don't have KFC in your, well, actually, it's good that you don't have KFC if you don't have KFC in your country. But it's a popular brand here in the U.S. And the person who founded it didn't become successful till they were 85, right? They didn't become a
Yeah.
millionaire till they were in their later areas of life. Why? Because they had to go through this process to get there. And many times, us as adults, we have to go through a process. And I'm learning how to help people remove those layers so that they can go through so that they can reach their destination with the true successful person that they are deep inside.
Amazing. But we went too fast, and I didn't clarify some things first
Oh,
because,
please.
yeah, you presented the book, and my mind raced, and yeah.
We have
So
the
first of
conversation
all,
like we always do.
yeah, exactly. Just jumped. We just jumped right on it. But tell me then. Okay, from basketball player, you moved to stock. Okay, stockbroker. I don't believe there's. I would ask if you learned anything that you carried from stockbroker to what you're doing now, and I want you to clarify exactly. Okay, how are you helping people today? What you're doing now, and why did you decide to go on that route as an educator?
That's great. So all of my experiences have resulted in the person that you see today. I carry with me, the experiences of being a basketball player, of pursuing finance, of being an educator after 12, 13 years, and now being a business owner. And that's who you see today. Um, I was always intrigued by stocks and making a lot of money. So the stock portion was me trying, fulfilling somewhat of a goal to understand finance in a better way. And to answer your question, how does it relate to what I do now? Is that one, I am a business owner. Two, I have um, supported and mentored a lot of people with financial decisions. And I'm also a professor of financial literacy at a local university. So with, while I didn't see that happening, I wouldn't be this level. I wouldn't have this acumen or understanding of finances had I not passed the Series 7 and 63 exam. It became a licensed stockbroker, right? And that's another answer to some people who say, why am I here flipping fries right now? Or why am I washing dishes? There's something in that experience that you can carry with you. I don't know what it is, right? But each of us are working and each of us are living, and there's experiences that we're currently doing that can carry forward in some shape or form in our future and how we want to end up. And currently, what I do is I'm the owner and CEO of Prolific Consulting, which is a full service professional development firm that sort of focuses on young people in school settings and school districts and community groups, but also does a lot of community engagement and adult sort of interaction with regards to financial literacy, leadership development, and just life skills development, as we've seen it being very necessary after COVID. So that's the space that I live in. I'm looking to speak more, and I'm so gracious to you for allowing me to come onto your platform and share with your audience some of my experiences.
Definitely. It's so great that we got connected. And you mentioned a point of something that I also found in my journey, that whatever, if you're doing things that it's in your interest now, um, and maybe you don't understand how that's going to fit in your future life, bear with it because my not theory I've been seeing that in practice in my life. I call it a convergence point where there will it will make sense. So yeah, you touched right on that. It's really nice to hear it from another person.
Yeah, and I think what we're doing now with Prolific is actually expanding to support people in understanding that power of transition and being able to utilize a skill like being a cashier or a waitress and transitioning some of those skills to, well, I'm better in communication, so I'm able to apply those skills in maybe a bank teller or maybe some other form of directly inputting or supporting people directly, right? I think a lot of people just need help in understanding how one skill relates to another.
Yeah, and how can you, let's say, roll over and reutilize it, right? Yeah, that was a conversation. I was in an event 2 weeks back, and uh, it was a real estate investor event, and the guy was, we were exchanging ideas, and he was presented with investment opportunity, but he said, "Yeah, I'm gonna make money there, but it's not in my interest now because I know what I want to do once I retire, which is travel, and I'm only learning things. I'm only in contact with investments now that will enable me to learn. So where I want to get, I'll have the knowledge to execute that." And and that, even though we kind of know that, that spoke with me, because right now I'm doing things in my interest, but the end result is so I can reach the financial freedom.
Mm-hmm.
But that kind of really spoke with me and said, okay, okay. Um, it's one of those things that, yeah, you might know, but once you hear from an outside source and not in your head,
Well, also it
it
sounds like
sinks.
he got a clear picture of where he wants to go and how he wants to end up, and it sounds
Yeah,
like he understands that there's certain things that you can get that can distract you from that ultimate goal, even though it could be financially beneficial or emotionally beneficial or it can feel good, right? There's a
yeah,
lot of times that we have goals or we say we have goals and then there's opportunity, so to speak, but it's not directly aligned in the goal that we want to achieve. And that's definitely something that, we have to address and dig deeper on because there's so many distractions in this day and age. And if you don't have a finite understanding on who you want to be or where you want to end up, there's a lot of ways that you can get tripped up behind different decisions that take you on different routes. So I definitely think that's definitely something important. And to yourself, like if financial freedom is the goal, like everything that should be doing should be having an inroad to that goal.
yeah, yeah. Um, right now, I would say the main struggles I know I have, and that's good, but is I was always patient, but you've been, hustling for so long, and then it gets kind of scarce. So I know that patience is one thing I have to keep an eye. And I myself, and I'm sure, and based on what you said, it's your experience is the same from the people that you contact. The pursuit of the shining object that is in front of you, instead of, no, find clarity on your goal and go for it. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's important. Also think it's for someone that's a business owner and starting to work on their brand just like yourself, it's important to have, conversations with people like on your level, right? Like, so like we've had conversations about where we both are, where our goals are, how we're building those systems. I think it's imperative to have like a group of those people around, um, to network off of, to grow from, to discuss, to have challenges because at every stage that you're at, there's people that are trying to get to the next level. And in many cases, um, it's always easier to go together than it is to go alone.
yeah,
So I would say to sort of extend, and that's something that I've necessarily had to do very recently, is extend not necessarily the friend group, but just be present to be at certain events or certain networking opportunities to make sure that I'm continuing to ask the right questions, find the right mentors, and continuing to support sort of just my own growth and my own iteration as we continue to scale because it's lonely, So I definitely say that that could be a good suggestion.
Yeah, it is lonely. Felt that years back. Also within the family, because there was a period that my wife and I, we were not in that same sync. We
Mhm.
finally reached that sync. Let's say 2 years back.
That's amazing. That's
Well, it's
amazing.
part of our growth. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, that's amazing. Congrats. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it is. But the loneliness I felt, wow, I felt in the past. Um, uh, but not once, even though there is support. But one thing is to support, but kind of being behind, and the other thing is support and being side by side.
Can you
Uh,
define that? Because that's actually a good question. Like, let me flip something to you. What does support mean to you? What kind of support do you receive in this journey? Because that's something that I've been struggling with.
um, I would say that okay, I would come. Let's profile. I'm the visionary and always pursuing something, and my wife is more grounded.
Yes.
Um, so I would come with ideas, and she would be supportive in terms of, yeah, if you want to do it, I'm okay with it. So it's kind of support in terms of believing, and not support in terms of, okay, how can we do it together and make it happen like it is now.
And how, and now I'm kind of taking notes from you because I'm definitely in that midpoint between me being a visionary, there being more grounded. And although I don't need you to help me get there, I still need you to help me get there, to your point where you're saying how we're going to do it. So, how do you involve someone in that conversation so they feel that they have value and that they understand that they're part of this, they're part of you being successful?
How to evolve? Well, I think that goes back to relationship, and communication is key. So having, well, I've been drinking a coffee. I love coffee, and having one, at least one moment of having coffee with her, and 15 minutes, let's say 30 minutes, and exchanging anything like we are now, but we just sit there and, hey, how's your day going, what's going on, and from there things so ideas explode and we start to chatting.
Right,
That's kind of much better support, and that works on the relationship as well as in the business that both are doing. Just by sharing with her, and hearing her and seeing uh, how she receives that. And um, you don't necessarily need to hear someone and go with what she is saying,
right, right.
but just by having someone there that you feel that's with you, and not just go in and out. You know what I mean?
Totally, totally understand. Totally understand. And
That
I
that
think,
already helps a lot. But the transformation that she pursued this year was key, because she was more like a fixed mindset, and she changed that to a growth mindset. Wow, man, our lives and our worlds are limitless now.
that's
Um,
amazing. That's amazing. And what did you, was it, taking along to conferences? Was it incorporating certain a role in the business? Like what were some of those tangible steps that, you feel might have gotten to that end result?
um, so we've been together 29 years, counting the dating time, but 20 years we just turned 20 years married.
Congrats, congrats.
Um, I'm just saying that statistic to say that our whole lives I've been telling her, hey, you can do much more than you do. Do not quit. She was a quitter. I
Yeah,
can say that, and she would be here agreeing with
same
me.
here. Same here. Mine is 15 years, but yes, same here.
Yeah, and I always believed in her, even when I got tired of believing her. But I would continue to say, "Hey, don't quit."
Right.
Um, she had what I believe it happened. That's why I'm saying. she had a life event, which was her mother passing away. Her mother had a strong influence on her actions and thoughts and decisions, um, since child. And once she understood that, and that link was severed, I think that's what enabled, she felt enabled and liberated her. So I think that's the tangible part that I can tell you.
No, I respect that.
And she always done therapy. So therapy is crucial. And I would say we cannot build a skyscraper if our foundation is broken.
I
So
agree.
I would say to everyone, we have to work on our foundation first, understand who
Absolutely.
we are, and go through therapy.
I agree.
But finally, that sinked in, and she was able to work on that foundation. And she allowed, she started, she tells me that she was feeling like something was boiling inside of her and she couldn't put it
Wow.
out.
Wow.
And once those things happened with therapy, her mother passing away, and things were starting making sense, she finally enabled her, and she started a coaching program with 101 every week with a coach,
That's
uh,
awesome.
growth coach, or I don't remember the title, but it's Siegfried J. He's also in the podcast. You can see the session I had with him. It was in the
Okay.
beginning, so I was not that good, but he's great. Yeah, yeah. Um, so it was, I'd say, break it down. It was her working on her foundation,
Right.
understanding what was happening, enabling her to, okay, I can and I want to pursue it. Let me set myself free.
Right.
And once that happened, the transformation was amazing. She is an amazing case. I tell her that.
That's
And
awesome.
she was my first guest here as well. I thought that would be easy, but no, I was kind of really nervous, and she was totally fine with it. Um,
That's awesome. That's an
so,
awesome, amazing story to share in regards to how do we sort of use a catalyst event like something like that to sort of unearth something within ourselves, and I think that's awesome that you're there to support her along that way.
oh yeah, yeah. So communication support, yeah. I don't know. I think it's hard. Thanks for the question. Thank you.
No, no
The
worries.
first time I got asked, and that's why I say this is a conversation. It's not an interview.
Right.
Um, Great question, and I hope I was able to answer you, because yeah, it was the first time I had to answer that, and the steps. Maybe the steps were those I told you. You must want, but you must want to work on a foundation and allow yourself to, make it happen. And what comes from that? Uh, Not only now we are side by side and we have our backs.
Hmm.
Um, you feel that you're more empowered with it, so that's a consequence.
Right.
And she she finally became a book author that she wanted. She
Oh, that's
said
amazing.
she told me that she always wanted to write stories, and now she has one book that about to be launched, kids book about to be launched this year.
That's
She's
amazing.
creating a kids service to deliver stories by mail, so kids have off screen time. And I'm helping her with that on the technology part. But she has already four more kids books already being edited.
That's
So
amazing.
she just allowed herself, and we
Right.
talk about this, and it's amazing.
Right.
I cannot talk to her and not feel emotional, and her as well.
I mean, I couldn't paint a better picture of unlocking sort of the greatness that you have inside you, right? And
Yeah,
we all have a lot of times we all have those skills and we all have those abilities, but we have to sort of figure out the code that it takes to unlock that. And a lot of times that's people, personalities, time, and support. And once those things align in a way, there's no ceiling on who you can become and where you can go.
Yes, yeah. Uh, that's why I'm really strong proponent. I think I'm using it correctly, of continuous growth. Eventually, you get there. It demands patience. I know that, so I keep reminding that. Um, so yeah, she's a best and recent example I can tell you of enabling yourself. And she is writing once she's allowed everything to come up. To come out, everything came out at once. I think that's why she is writing so much.
And it
She
has so
even is
much.
writing a novel. So, but it started with kids book because she felt she had a message as well
Right.
from her trauma on her childhood. So she's expressing, and the books are beautiful. But she also started to write a novel. So not related, but I mean, with all that, she became a book author.
That's right. I mean, you're able to once you live once you stop living under the labels that you've allowed other people to create for you, you begin to be able to create those labels and those identities yourself. And I think that's a great way. I mean, if you look at the first portion of our conversation, what we're talking about, this is the description of it, right? And many
Yeah,
times people have pushed down so much of these ideas that they've been able to have for themselves based on the traumas and based on the responsibilities that occur in their current life, that they're not able to see, who they have the ability to become to. So sometimes it takes of those awakening moments and then the support that's there for them to fully understand and fully step into that role and that identity.
yeah. And related to the value that we are bringing now, we are people making it happen now, so people can relate.
Hmm.
It's different from when someone is far ahead and we will get discouraged because no, I cannot do that. So I think that's also related. That's why I started this as well, this journey.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm
It,
glad that you have this platform because what it shows is like, most people on Instagram that we were talking about, most people on these platforms, they show the finished, polished version of whatever it is that they put down. They don't really
yeah,
show what it takes to grow and what the conversation and thoughts and the challenges that we have to get through to become the ultimate sort of picture that we want to see for ourselves. That's sort of why my next book is going to focus more on how do we become mentors? How do we sort of look at mentorship in a new iterative way, especially with AI and having some of these different access points. And because we have to get back to sort of learning from a humanistic standpoint, I think education has been exposed after COVID because they realize that a lot of people are talking from books and many people don't want that type of education anymore. So I think mentorship is going to really have a place. And that's why I think I'm going to really expand on this new book.
yeah. And I love the mentorship perspective because I understand that it's sharing the walked paths, sharing what you have done, your experience, and trying to guide and show ways, and not like what I understand by coaching, which is you directing and saying you do this, you do that.
Yeah, I think we have to have more mentoring relationships in education because that's really how education started. It started in um, more of a apprenticeship type of role where you would sort of learn from someone as they did what they did, right? So if you're a blacksmith, I learned blacksmithing by watching you all day, right? Or if I was someone that did carpentry, I would just be around and learn from you and the things that you did all day. We've transformed education, and now I think there's somewhat of a want to kind of go backwards and get reverted back to a place where CTE and trades, skilled trades, are some of the backbone of what we want to learn in education. And that's not dispelling, you know, the STEM and advanced, mathematics that are required. I'm not saying that means that we don't do that research, but I do think there's a response that all people need to have some type of skill, and I think that kind of lends itself back to mentorship because in most cases, you learned a real tangible skill through apprenticeship and through mentorship.
Yeah, yeah. Lead by example, definitely.
Right.
But what I want to know from you is what were the struggles, since you mentioned that, and that's one thing we need to touch. What were the struggles that most transformed you that comes to mind now?
Um, it's funny when you say struggles because I don't really see them the same way a lot of other people do. When people said that you wouldn't get a college scholarship, I said that I'm going to figure it out, right? And I attended 4 years under a basketball scholarship. When they said you wouldn't play professional sports, I said, okay, well, we're not going to be in the NBA, but there's a way and variation for me to explore and be a professional athlete, and I did that. Um, I think challenges are just abilities for you to show who you really are. Have I faced defeat? Have I faced failure? Absolutely. Um, there are things that did not turn out the way that I envisioned them to. I've lost money in investments. I've made bad decisions when it comes to partners and business partners. So I don't want any of that to be confused with the fact that I just said that I don't look at challenges the same way. Oh, I've had challenges. I just see them as opportunities to say, all right, how am I going to figure this out? Right? Like, how am I going to be able to rebound from this temporary form of defeat and make it okay? That's one thing that I can't go to sleep with. I can go to sleep with not making the right decision. I can't go to sleep with trying not to figure out how to not make that decision again. you know? And so I
Uh,
think if people get to that type of status when they look at challenges or they look at even decisions that they made that didn't work out, look at how you not make that decision again and figure out a way to make it right.
yeah, yeah. I understand that you're saying that basically you were not seeing as blockers and you were taking action and find a way around it. My question, uh, I think, I don't know how, but these days I believe I work around it better. Is when to pivot or when to insist on what you're doing.
That's a good question because a lot of times people say, "Oh, you just keep going," and then a lot of people are trying to bump their heads to get to iron wall. I think what tells you whether you should pivot, whether you should take a different course, or whether you should persevere is part of your identity. Again, um, the things that I persevere or I will not accept no are the things that are moving towards the goals that I have. I think if you start to go back to who you are as identity and the goals and where you really want to see yourself, you can understand if a temporary defeat means you have to continue to pursue or you have to find a different way. I think you having understanding on where you're going helps you understand how each challenge is arising. If I'm trying to buy a house and the problem is that I can't find a title company to purchase it. Am I going to let that house? Am I going to let that hiccup in that process stop me? Probably not. I'm probably just going to find another appraisal, another insurance person, another title person, another person to fulfill that role. I'm going to still get to completion of purchasing this house. And I think a lot of times people get stuck at that challenge and they don't say, all right, well, maybe I should buy purchase an apartment because it might be cheaper, look at different options, or if this is a permanent challenge that I just have to push through. People just not analyzing and they take the first hiccup of challenge as stop. It doesn't mean stop. It means stop, let's think and let's get through it.
And what fuels you? What motivation? Where do you find it through all those scenarios?
I have two young girls. I have two young daughters, and in many times, if a decision is difficult to me, I go back to is it going to be beneficial for them? Is it a financial decision that if I make is going to impact them, or is it going to be something that helps them along the way? And a lot of times, that is something that helps give me a guidance and framework. I'm also a believer, Christian. I don't go to church every Sunday, although my mom's going to beat me up. But I do have a moral code compass, and I think that's also something that we have to get back to. I don't think that everybody should believe in one religion, but I do think people should believe in something, right? And because what that does, it gives you sort of guardrails and how to sort of lead your life and help others lead a more successful life.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I agree with that. We have to believe in ourselves and believe that there's something greater. And yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
being an atheist is a slippery slope. You know, you start believing in one thing and then you just stop believing in everything. I come to find out. So I don't know if that's a healthy way to think about life because they started off not believing in religion, then they don't believe in politics, they don't believe in government. Like, okay, if we don't a nation of not believing in anything, then this is going to be pretty chaotic.
Yes, yeah. What comes to mind is, yeah, I have a bachelor degree in engineering, so I would say I'm an engineer, and therefore I believe in science and the theory of evolution. But I was being raised in Brazil. We are basically Catholic until, I don't know, 15, 16 year old. Every week, and I would go to the mass.
Hmm.
Um, but then today I consider myself more as a spiritual guy, and I still believe there's something greater. But then what I said about the engineering degree is because, yeah, uh, I believe there are certain limits, and then just by believing in something, it's the answer. So you can talk about the Big Bang, but okay, what was before? What? So again,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
I don't
and
know.
again, not to get too right, not to get too detailed, I can at least have an agreement with you on some level. I may not believe
Yeah,
as theoretically as you, or I may not be as in Catholicism and understand all the rituals, but we already have a formal basis because we have an idea that there's something bigger than us, right? We both agree
yeah,
to that. And in many
yeah,
cases, a lot of adults are having like trouble communicating because there's not that common basis of connection and understanding and belief. It's also it's just gotten so chaotic. Well, your opinion makes you this, and my opinion makes me that, and there's no common ground, so we can never
yeah,
agree on anything.
yeah, yeah. True. Yeah, not to get too deep, but yeah, totally, totally. Uh, yeah, I don't know. To a certain point, yeah, yeah. I don't even know what you say, but exactly
Yeah,
that.
we both agree. We're gonna leave that as we agree because it's no it's some of these, and this is also what we're fighting on the internet. Like some of these conversations and ideas that are coming out that are so divisive are so far fetched that it's hard to conceptualize like how people have gotten so distant. I think that's sort of what we're trying to like explain. And the truth is there's no explanation to it. Like the the internet and some of these things have fed a level of division that we've never faced before. So it's hard to explain because there's no explaining it. It's
Yeah,
just like
and
craziness.
accept it, and that's okay. Well, it will hurt less, but people don't accept, and I don't know. Yeah.
I think we're doing
Um,
a service to the algorithm because we're putting out content that is authentic and it shows people communicating in a very authentic way.
Thank you. Yeah, indeed. That was the idea, to share as much as possible, because there's amazing knowledge out there with people like you. I'm so grateful that that was a connection that was made, and yeah,
Absolutely.
and that I would like to ask you, in if you were to rebuild the things that you're most proud of, but you just have 1 year to do it. How would you do, and if you would do it in any way different than what you did in the past?
Um, so I don't think I've been able to accomplish anything in one solid year that I can say that I'm immensely proud of. Everything has taken a lot of time.
Yeah, but you have to condense now. You have to make it happen in 1 year. It's like a impossible question.
Okay, good. Impossible question. So how would I
Yeah,
make something impossible possible? The first thing I would do is I would break it down. One of the most things I'm proud of is being able to sit down and write. Because I'm a person coming through public school. I wasn't even given confidence that I was smart. So let alone have a master's degree and be able to write a text was something that I was really proud of accomplishing. If I were to do it again, which I'm trying to, I would actually go away, right, and sit in a cabin for about 3 weeks, and I'm pretty sure I would knock it out, right? Um, then I would do better with marketing because that's also a part that I'm challenging on. So what I would do is really do a month of just dedicated content around how I'm going to put the book out, why it's important to people, and then I would do sort of like a press run where I would just go across to different spaces and talk about the book or talk about the idea that I'm building so more people get aware of it. And I think that's a good recipe for anything that you're trying to build within a 6 to 12 month um, time frame to sort of project manage it to completion.
Great. Okay, great. And since before we forget, where do we find your book?
So you can hop on Amazon. You can get it there. You can go to my website. We also at www.prolificconsultingservices.com, and then we can show you where to get the e-version. You can purchase the e-book version of the book. And just keep on to my socials at PCS Unlimited on Instagram. That's PCS Unlimited, all one word, where we're just sharing information, tools, and tips around how to continue to engage with young people, how to engage with each other, and how to build financial literacy strategies so that we become more free in our decisions and free in our lives.
Yeah, I'll get all those links with you later, and I'll put there down below. But okay, and success. Definitely, you are a successful person. What success looks like to you today?
So I define success as the pursuit to where you're at. So I don't ever see it as a place I arrive. I see it as a place I'm continuing every day getting better at. Um, I have to keep reevaluating it because success to me was not working at 9 to 5 and being home for my kids, and
Yeah,
that's sort of like where I'm at right now. So I figure I got it all. But now, honestly, professionally, we want to ramp up the business to about $3 million per year. We want to expand some of the real estate holdings that we're doing to be able to scale and support more property ownership and be able to house more units. So in the next 12 months, we're really putting a lot of energy into that. And so, yeah, I do. And of course, I want to continue to spend more time and take some more trips with family. So success to me is really being able to facilitate all those professional goals, but also have the time to make sure that I'm checking in with family and being the husband and father that I want to become. Well, to
yeah,
sustain, right? I am
yeah.
already. Let's sustain and grow.
Beautiful. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, it all comes back to family. That's the conclusion I've been getting here. That's where we get the motivation. That's why we do it. So that's why I recommend. What's the secret? Communication.
I
Communication.
will take that. I will take that, and thank you for that observation as well, because that's really helpful. Because as sometimes we get in those conversations, it's really it's good to understand that we're seeing two different perspectives, and communication is the key.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is, and we learn. Um, I started this as well selfishly to because I like to connect and a way of me learning to communicate. But there is at least two sides of it. It's not communication. At first, I thought, okay, I have to learn also because I'm not a native English speaker. Okay, I have to learn how to speak. But I learned that firstly, you have to learn how to listen. So
Mm.
that reflected here as well.
Absolutely,
I was,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So I would say that,
Yeah, we all can
um,
learn to actively listen a little bit more.
yes, yeah, yeah, we do.
Now, Fernando, this has been great, man. Thank you. This has been therapy for
I have,
me.
I have, I have one. Awesome, awesome. I have one more thing.
Yeah.
If I gave you a billboard, what would you put there? You can use it however you want it. What? How would you use it?
Uh, it's a good question. if I had a billboard, how would I use it? Well, I would have some type of QR code or some way to connect with me or my organization. But I think I would probably phrase it with a question more like, are you living your most successful life? And if you're not, I think it's good that you click here. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's it. Are you living your most successful life? Because as you're driving, like maybe that hits you for a while. Maybe you think
yeah,
about it, and then when you come back to the
yes,
side, you go back to the website.
yeah, definitely. That's something that we have to understand. I wake up every day, even though it's not good, but people say, yeah, you have to push yourself. What I want to say about that is you have to respect yourself. I learned recently about psychological safety, and you have to be gentle with yourself. Yes, you will wake up, even though if you're not good. You do your best that day. That's your best that day, and you have to accept. Don't beat yourself.
Right,
We constantly hear also in the socials people saying, "No, you have to, uh, you know, yeah, go for it. You have to show up." Yeah, you show up.
right,
But I think there's a certain component when people say that it is that you're almost beating yourself up. That's dangerous. I did that in the past. I was just pushing, pushing, pushing to a break point.
right. Yeah, I do think there's balance. Yeah, I definitely agree that there's balance. Like, you got to learn what that balance is for you.
Yeah,
Um, and also, I think there's seasons, right? Like just like it's summer season where we're outside and we got no clothes on. Right now, it's cold where I'm at. We got to put that coat on, right? So there's
yeah,
different times for different energies, and I think that that's something that's helped me understand balance a little bit better.
yeah. Everything is cyclic. Yeah,
Cyclical.
cyclic.
You're doing a
Cyclical.
great
Yeah,
job,
everything is
isn't it?
cyclical.
There's people that have been speaking English their whole life don't speak as good as you, so you're doing pretty good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I was reluctant in the past, so once I understood everything is cyclical, and I might be like 2 weeks back. Um I was in the down part of the of the
The
cycle.
cycle, yeah,
If you have awareness of that, you respect. And next week, I was boom back on the gym doing things, and yeah,
yeah. I heard something that's it's gonna stick with me. And about a week ago, it was like when you're going through hell, just keep going, right?
yeah,
Because you just
yeah,
gotta keep going. You gotta
exactly,
get through it, right? And so when you're
yeah,
going through hell, don't stop. Just keep going.
exactly. But respecting yourself, that's what all I would add.
Yes, while respecting yourself and
Yeah,
your mental health, because that's important
yes,
as well.
exactly. Well,
Absolutely.
that's it for me,
Yo,
Rashawn. So
Fernando, this has been
I'm
an
really
amazing
glad,
conversation.
man.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much to your esteemed audience for chiming in and taking a listen.
Well, my pleasure, my pleasure. So later on, just send me the links. I'll put there, and yeah,
Okay, I'll
amazing.
send
So I
I'll
learned
send
a
it.
lot.
Same here, same here. A lot, bro. Appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you.
All right, have a good one.
Thank you.
All right, bye
Bye
bye.
bye.